Thank you for joining us, everyone. Buenos días, buenas tardes, and welcome to Hispanic Access Foundation's Latino Advocacy Week. This room is the heartbeat of something bigger than any one community. It's a gathering of business leaders, faith leaders, students, parents, executives, and steadfast partners, all united in a shared vision. We are Latinos, and we are allies and partners and friends from all backgrounds, working together to build a better future. Together, we represent over 60 million Latinos in the United States, nearly 1 in 5 Americans with roots from Mexico, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Central America, and South America. And today, standing alongside us are members of Asian American, Black, Indigenous, white, and multicultural communities. This is a collective movement. Our diversity is our strength. And we come from different places with stories as rich and varied as our individual lives, but together we form something better. We're like a single threads woven into the same fabric, a tapestry of colors, textures, and strengths. Latinos have contributed to the flourishing of this nation in ways both big and small. And yet across many communities, disparities persist. Educational gaps, healthcare inequities, environmental concerns, immigration reform concerns, and economic barriers. Together, we face these realities, and together we have the power to change them. I know firsthand the setback that these inequities can cause. My parents immigrated here from Mexico when I was very young, and through hard work and a lot of love, they improved our lives and they gave back to their community. And I celebrate their journey, but I also imagine how much more they could have achieved had they had access to trusted information, resources, and opportunity. And that's why Hispanic Access exists. This year, we celebrate 15 years since our founding, and our mission is to bridge gaps, to build access, develop leadership, cultivate trust, and elevate voices so that Latino communities and the partners who stand with us move from the sidelines to the front lines of shaping the American story. We would not be here today without the generous support of our philanthropic partners, donors, and sponsors who believe in the power of community-driven advocacy. Thank you for investing in leadership, in stories, and in a future where opportunity is truly accessible to all. Today, you step into that story. Advocacy is in our DNA. It's rooted in our values of familia, comunidad, and lucha. Latino Advocacy Week is about equipping each of you, Latino advocates and our allies, with the tools to turn personal stories into powerful action. Our civic power matters more than ever. In 2020, only 53% of eligible Latino voters turned out, compared to 71% of non-Hispanic voters. Early data suggests that in 2024, we're still falling short. But with 36.2 million eligible Latino voters, even a 5% increase in turnout can make the difference. The power lies in you, in a business owner's fight to stay open, in a parent's determination for better schools, in a student's vision for climate justice. Your stories paired with your advocacy humanizes the data and move policymakers into action. And we're not alone. There are countless stories like Moses Borjas, who through Hispanic Access helped protect over 7,000 acres of public lands in the heart of his hometown in El Paso. Josue Rubio, who founded the Vida Foundation to address food insecurity. Yvette Lopez, once a Mono Project intern, now is a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service park ranger mentoring the next generation. And Linda Sosa, who led a vaccination initiative reaching over 34,000 Latinos during COVID. This is what happened when we're given the tools, the training, and the trust to lead, and when our partners and supporters stand alongside us. Comunidad, it's the ultimate expression of who we are, putting others before self so that all can thrive. And this week, through training, storytelling workshops, meetings with policymakers, you'll gain the tools to help create a future where every community, Latino and beyond, is seen, heard, and empowered. To our sponsors, donors, and philanthropic partners, your belief in this work is what makes Latino Advocacy Week possible. Thank you for standing with us. We are stronger together. We are woven together. We are better together. Let's make this Latino Advocacy Week a turning point. Somos mejores juntos. Gracias.
Thank you, Maite, for your words and for your leadership. Antes de empezar, quiero anunciar que si gustan escuchar esta presentación en español, pueden hacerlo haciéndole clic al icono del globo en la barra de abajo en Zoom. Natalia, nuestra traductora, estará traduciendo la presentación al español. And thank you all for joining us today for this important conversation, Amplifying Latino Voices, Advocacy for Change. My name is Ana Jimenez, and I am the Conservation Network Manager here at Hispanic Access. I have the honor of serving as your moderator for today's webinar. And we are thrilled to have such a passionate group of advocates, leaders, and community members here with us today. This space is about lifting the voices, stories, and lived experiences of Latino communities who have long been at the forefront of advocacy, justice, and transformation. I encourage everyone tuning in to fully engage, listen deeply, and take inspiration from what you hear here today. Joining us today is Juventino Mesa, Juris Doctor, Environmental and Energy Policy Lawyer, Anais Martinez, Community School Coordinator at Lehigh University, and Reverend Milagro Grullon, Executive Director at AMEDAL. And of course, you've heard from Maite Arce, who is the President and CEO here at Hispanic Access Foundation. We are grateful to our amazing panelists who are here to share their knowledge, insights, and personal journeys. And with that, let's dive in. Our first question for the panel here is, can each of you share some of the work that you do in your communities and what inspired you to get involved? And I'll pass it to Anais first.
Hello, everybody. I am Anais Martinez. Right now I'm in Salinas, Puerto Rico, but I live in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I just came down here to visit some family, enjoy the heat, but it's raining, tropical storm, but that's okay. Just to share a little bit about what I do, I am the community school coordinator, one of them at Lehigh University. My career or job is to really advocate for kids and families as a whole. So that can come from different topics like mental health services, making sure that students, families, and community members have access to free or low-cost services. That can include free vaccines, that can include free mental health services, free food, free clothing, and it's just really making sure that kids have their basic needs met to be able to, have good grades in school, focus on their classes, and just overall, make sure that they're doing what they have to do to be able to be successful. So that's really what I do. And also on my other side, I am part of the Conservation Network and a couple of boards that have to do with the environment and environmental educational programming. And I am also an advocate on that, making sure that, Latinos have access to these environmental science programming because a lot of our background, are indigenous and we are connected to the earth and the ocean, for example. My dad lives off the coast here in Salinas, Puerto Rico, that we have manatees, right? And we have to learn how to protect these beautiful land that we have. So.
Thank you, Anais, and thank you for the amazing work that you do. I'll pass it to Reverend Milagro.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mi nombre es Milagro Grullon. Soy del estado de Massachusetts. Vivo específicamente en la ciudad de Haverhill, donde está nuestra oficina principal de AMEDAL, la Asociación Ministerial Evangélica del Área de Lawrence. Nosotros somos una comunidad de servicio, o sea, nuestra institución da servicio no solamente a la pastoral, sino también a cualquier persona en la comunidad que necesite ayuda, sea problemas inmigratorios o comida, salud mental, como mencionaba también Anaís. nosotros somos un centro donde proveemos lo que las personas necesitan. Si se mudaron, si vinieron al país por la primera vez, también proveemos servicios. Nos concentramos en la pastoral, trabajando con los pastores y las congregaciones locales para asistir a la membresía o a los congregantes de cada congregación. So, ese es mi rol. Nosotros hacemos también advocacia, o sea, ahora cambio al inglés. We do a lot of advocacy work and we enjoy what we do. And we have been successful at it, where some of our work has really taken us to be recognized nationally for the work that we have done here. So thank you, Ana.
Thank you, Reverend Milagro, for all you do and for being with us today. And I'll pass it over to Juventino Mesa.
Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you for having me here. It's such an honor to be a kid from Minnesota and be part of this national panel. I've devoted my career to developing leadership among Latino immigrant youth and communities of color in Minnesota. And at the core of my work is the belief that people affected by an issue must be part of the solutions. My work has focused on 3 critical areas that align perfectly with this Advocacy Week: immigration policy reform, educational access, and community empowerment. My personal story as an undocumented student from Mexico sparked this passion. After arriving in Minnesota at age 15, I experienced firsthand how immigration status creates barriers to education, healthcare, and economic opportunity for Latino communities. Being bullied in high school for both my immigration status and being gay further motivated me to create supportive spaces for immigrant youth. I worked in organizing undocumented students so that we worked on things like the Minnesota Dream Act, immigration reform, and obviously DACA. I also helped start a program called Capital Pathways, which creates paid internships for students of color to gain experience at the state policy level. And currently, as both an environmental and immigration advocate, I work to ensure Latino perspectives are considered in policy decisions.
Thank you, Juventino, for sharing your journey with us and the importance of being part of the solution and advocating for what we believe is right. And in the topic of advocacy, I would love to hear from you all. What kind of changes have you seen in your community because of advocacy? And right now, being such a difficult time, what gives you hope right now? I'll start with Reverend Milagro.
Well, the type of work that we have done here, especially we are a community of maybe 85% of the community is Latino. So everything we do has to work around the issues that are affecting us as Latinos. We have taken on the responsibility. So for years, one of the things that we have been seeing, the opioids and drugs, so I'm going to take it from there and sort of concentrate on the topic on what has really caused us to work on the mental health issues in our community. So we took on a campaign to not have our city be legalize cannabis. And we were determined to do that. And I want you to know that it was a huge success because the community came in. We packed City Hall, we packed the parking lot, everybody was out. I mean, when they saw this reaction, they had to call the police to protect because the amount of people that came in was huge because we were seeing that our youth was really being affected and we couldn't take a chance. So we had high school students, we had parents come in with their children that have been affected and ended up using other drugs by the start of doing that. And that really helped us to work with the mental health community to help us create programs, especially for the clergy body. We wanted to make sure that the church was on top of this issue versus sitting back and waiting for somebody else to do the work. We did this with a lot of success. So we had a lot of those that, religious or non-religious were helping us to decrease the issues that the use of cannabis and other substances were affecting the community. So doing this pushed us to create seminars, and basically almost every single church in this community had seminars specifically with details such as, mental health and the family, mental health and the couples, marriage couple, and even if they were not married, but they were living together, we took on the responsibility of creating training. Most of the trainings and seminars were very successful. So we advocated for the health of our community through these series. And we had a lot of the professionals that we have working in the community that are of the faith community come out and do these trainings for free, and also work to get some of these people to have stability going into counseling as it related to the mental health issues. So these are some of the things that we did, and we continue to do some of this work. And I don't think that we will stop because of all the issues that arise and stay. So that's what I could add today on that.
Thank you so much. Great to hear that we're working together on tackling some very important issues in our communities. I'll pass it to Juventino.
Thank you. For me, the one example or story I wanted to share was the decade-long fight for the Minnesota DREAM Act, which I think represents a profound advocacy experience. Having graduated from Oxford University through a private scholarship, I recognize that most undocumented students lacked similar opportunities, effectively shutting them out of higher education. In 2007, I began sharing my story widely, speaking at community events, testifying before legislators, and organizing fellow students. As one of the few undocumented students willing to speak publicly, I faced considerable risk, but the potential impact for our community outweighed my personal concerns. For years, we built coalitions, meeting with anyone who would listen: legislators, college presidents, faith leaders, and business owners. We organized rallies where other undocumented youth shared their stories, humanizing an issue that was often discussed only in abstract policy terms. After countless setbacks and near victories, the Minnesota DREAM Act finally passed in 2013, allowing undocumented students to access in-state tuition and state financial aid. While I had already completed my undergraduate education by then, the policy created educational pathways for generations of Latino students. This victory taught me that Latino advocacy requires persistence and coalition building. Though it took more than 10 years, our consistent voices eventually changed both hearts and policy. Today, I share this story with young Latino advocates to remind them that their voices matter, even when change seems impossibly slow.
Thank you so much, Juventino. That's a powerful story and a reminder that, as you mentioned, advocacy takes sometimes a lot of years and generations and multiple coalitions and groups to do the work. Thank you. Anais, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you. So I wanted to share a story real quick. on the educational part of advocacy. So I had a student, she is Kurdish, and she is practicing on wearing a specific, head garment, to see if she would like to practice that like her mom. And she did not know how to advocate for herself, neither did her mom because of the language barrier. And my job is to build a sort of connection with the family, so they could feel comfortable enough to advocate for their daughter in terms of being comfortable with wearing a head garment. And without a community school model, for a sense, or community school coordinator, or someone that advocates for the students in terms of diversity, DEI, in a sense, we wouldn't have that, right? They would feel uncomfortable. They would feel uncomfortable using their language at school, exactly the same as using Spanish at school. But at Bracco Middle School, where I work, we tend to build up a super comfortable space. We have a family center that we have free mental health services there, our clothing closet, and all our services, but it's also open concept in terms of please ring the doorbell. If you have any questions, we can connect you to resources. And because of that, we have seen, parents advocating for what they need, even community members that they heard from this person, from that person, that they could come to us and ask us questions, and we connect them to different resources in the community, or, give them phone numbers on people that can help them find what they need. And that's a big thing for us. We have a Hispanic center where our school is, which is like down the block for a sense, maybe a half a mile away. And a lot of our families are like, oh no, it's only for Latinos, but it's not. Anybody could walk in there. They speak English, Spanish, they speak Arabic, it's anything. It's just called the Hispanic Center. And we have people from the government there that advocate also for our families. But yeah, that's what I build up as a community school coordinator at Bracco Middle School.
Thank you, Anais. That's amazing. That's a great reminder that advocacy takes forms in many different ways at the school level, at our places of worship, in the state level, federal level. So thank you for that reminder. And I'll move us on to the next question here. And I'd love to hear from you all. How do you stay motivated and grounded in the face of setbacks or resistance? And I'll start with you, Juventino.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, let me think through this. I think staying connected to community keeps me grounded. When federal immigration reform stalled multiple times, as you all probably know, visiting high schools and speaking with Latino students reminded me why the work mattered, their potential and dreams affirm my purpose despite all the political disappointments we've experienced. I draw strength from our historical progress. When I feel discouraged by current challenges, I reflect on how far Latino advocacy has come. Obviously from the Minnesota Dream Act, because I know about it, to increase Latino representation in all kinds of places, government, nonprofits, national groups, companies. These victories, even though they're incomplete, show that our persistence creates real change. I practice what I call honest advocacy. We have to acknowledge our setbacks openly rather than presenting a sanitized success story. When I talk to Latino students, I share my failures alongside my achievements. I often talk about a horrible ACT score that I got when I was applying for college. Or I talk about dropping out of high school briefly because I was getting bullied for being gay. Or the times that I couldn't pay for tuition. This honesty, I think, builds resilience in both myself and advocates that I connect with. I also rely on intergenerational wisdom, seeking perspectives from both elders in our community and emerging young leaders. This connection across generation provides a longer view of social change that helps me weather immediate frustrations. Finally, I maintain hope by focusing on individual impact alongside systemic change. When comprehensive immigration reform seems unattainable, I remember the specific students who benefited from the Minnesota Dream Act or the numerous Latino interns now working in state government through capital pathways. These tangible outcomes sustain me through broader political challenges. As I often tell students at community events, the journey to something better is often paved with struggle. By embracing both the struggles and the victories, Latino advocates can maintain the persistence needed for meaningful, lasting change.
Thank you, Juventino. Very powerful words. I'll pass it to Anaí.
Yes. I think I motivate myself in terms of advocating for students because I was that kid in a school that Spanish was my first language. When I came from Puerto Rico to Pennsylvania, this one when like a big Puerto Rican move was happening. A lot of kids didn't know what Puerto Rico was, and they're like, "What is that?" And I was not understanding them because they're speaking English. But I think having someone that knows the struggle of coming to a new place, for example, or coming out of poverty, is a big thing. Coming out of being the first generation Latina in the family that went to college is a big thing. Um, it starts a sense of comfort. Like, oh, I could come to you for whatever. And that's why I have an open door policy in my office. Kids could come with whatever stories of their tío that is going through the immigration process or their tía that got deported. They come and sit with me and just speak. I have a snack for them. They just talk. And sometimes they just need a space to chill before they go to class. Or just a space to listen to them after school because they don't want to go home. We try to build up a sense of comfort and a school safety. School should be a safe space for anybody, no matter the age, no matter how young and how big they are, how old they are. They could enter through our doors and we serve them in a sense, in anything that they need. Yeah, I love hearing stories of my students that graduated that are 23 years old and I see them out and they're like, "Miss, because of you, I applied for Penn State and I got in. Now I'm about to graduate with my master's degree." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's beautiful." And that just gives me chills right now. I'm talking about it because I see one kid that went to school to get his agricultural degree and he's starting farms in Syria because he's Syrian and he's starting farms so he could produce fruit for his family. And it's beautiful. But yeah.
Thank you, Anais. That's so amazing. I think we all had an educator in one point of our lives, or I hope that we all did, that provided that safe space for us. And thank you for being that for other students. Pastora Milagro, I'll pass it to you.
Sure. One of the things that keeps me motivated with the work that I do, and in particular, I want to just highlight mental health, is that I'm able to help one person at a time, one family, just one. I'm always concentrating in one, and that one makes a difference for me. It gives me enough energy to continue to do the work that we have been doing for a long time. It motivates me to help change policies that will help Latinos in our community. And it just thinking one, I can't think of the masses. I think one will make the difference because that one that we help will definitely change. And I hear Juventino, he did it because he was that one, and that one makes the difference because today he's standing right here with us. And we have to be encouraged with just one person that we're able to touch in that community. So that has been my mantra for many years. I don't look for the masses. I just look for that one person. And, and it's specifically with the issues of mental health, it touches everyone, every single family. And I want to say that with an assurance that we are all touched by this, and we work together to make the change in our community in whatever sector we work in, whatever field we're involved in. And we do it, we start with one, it affects us, and so therefore we know that somebody else, our neighbors are going to be affected. So whatever stands we take today, it will help someone, and that someone will help someone else. And that's where we get the ricochet effect, and people will definitely get better at whatever point of advocacy we take, or where we go, whether we're at the state house, whether we're at the city council, wherever we are, we're at whatever position we take. The difference that, at least at my end, that motivates me is making the change for one person. I've taken that seat for many years, and whatever happens after that one person, well, that's just victorious. But let's do one at a time. That's my motivation. Thank you so much, Ana.
Thank you, Reverend Milagros. That is so true. One at a time.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you for that advice. And with that question, I'll stay with you, Reverend Milagros. How can we better support each other in our collective work towards justice and equity for Latino communities? What's your advice?
Always let us work together. Let us work together. Let us not look for barriers. Let us not try to be the first. Let us strive to work hand in hand in whatever area we are. As a community of faith, we work with every organization in the city, in the cities that surround us. Why? Because we want to make a change, and no one can make the change by themselves. It takes a collective group of people, the old African proverbs, it takes a whole village to raise a kid. Well, it takes a whole village to change policy. It takes a whole village to advocate. So one person just, with a megaphone out in the street cannot make the change that all of us together within even our home on the phone could make. So collectively, we can do much. If we do things by ourselves, we'll never arrive where we want to go. So therefore, my best suggestion for today and always will be, let us work together. Let us agree in the issues that are in front of us, and anything that I say this all the time, Ana, when I don't agree with somebody, but I agree in 9 of the other things that they have, then I said that let's work together on those. When we start to disagree, we'll connect on the next issue. And that's what makes our community beautiful, and us, that we are respecting each other's work. We, some people might do better in policy, some other people might do in street work. So let us work with everyone at their level, so that way we could achieve more. It's always to achieve more and let our voices be heard, specifically for us Latino. We are very different many of the times, sometimes, like I tell my friends, el indio sale pa' fuera, entonces we want to pull back, and, we want to just have our own things. And we have to work as a community united to change the whole of America, if I could say that. Just together, staying together and working together as one community. Thank you, Ana.
Excellent advice. That's the theme of our Latino Advocacy Week this year, Stronger Together. Thank you for reinforcing that. And I'll pass it to Juventino.
Thank you. For me, I think coalition building across diverse communities has been my most powerful strategy. I feel like effective Latino advocacy requires bringing together faith communities, educational institutions, business leaders, and connecting with other ethnic communities. I was thinking about this question before, and I thought that there were 5 things in my toolbox that I wanted to share. One, Strategic storytelling, helping Latino community members share their personal experiences in ways that humanize policy issues while protecting vulnerable individuals. For example, through Navigate Minnesota, we train countless youth to effectively communicate their stories to decision makers. 2, power mapping, identifying who has the power to create change in specific issues and developing target strategies to influence them. This is how we helped pass the Minnesota Dream Act when we had to talk to legislators and who they listened to. 3, I am a lawyer, so legal knowledge is a part of my toolbox. My law degree has enhanced my advocacy by allowing me to understand policy language and identify opportunities for intervention. And I think we need lawyers in our midst in the Latino community. 4, I think we need media relationships. We got to cultivate connections to both Spanish and mainstream media outlets to amplify our voices and perspectives. Right now, one of the biggest issues in immigration is all of the lying that is happening in the media because we are not telling the stories. We are not being, we're the scapegoat and we're not being the authors of these stories. And so we gotta do better in media. And then last one, cultural authenticity. I think for me, embracing my full identity as both Latino and a gay man, rather than compartmentalizing these different aspects of myself, made me a better advocate. So for new Latino advocates, I recommend starting with your personal story and then acquiring the technical knowledge and relationship building skills that will make your advocacy sustainable and more effective over time.
Thank you so much, Juventino. Our stories are the most powerful tool we have in changing the narrative. So thank you for highlighting that. Totally agree. Anais, I'll pass it to you.
Yes, I loved how we are speaking about coming together, being a community, but also coming to spaces or being in spaces that we are not traditionally invited to. I think that's a huge thing. Or for example, I'm part of 2 boards on and we advocate for parks and the environment and environmental justice, environmental science. And I am the only woman of color on that board and the only Latina on that board. And I sit in a room of spaces that don't represent who I am, but that's why I'm in that space, to be a voice for the spaces, for people that look like me. I started a group called the Color of Nature Initiative with my brother, and it was to bring people of diverse backgrounds out to nature, out to the environment, and teach classes in English and Spanish about the environment. They might not know what a bird is called. For example, I'm a birder, but we taught the class in Spanish and English, and the big boss, the executive director, Dan Kunkel, believed in that dream. And it's because we put ourselves in a space that other people were uncomfortable in. There were spaces I've been in, meetings I've been in, that Dan Kunkel believed we had, the ability to do what we had to do in that space. And because he believed in us, he opened the door for other environmental groups and nature centers in my area to start being like, oh yeah, to start thinking about maybe we should translate and interpret specific stuff. Signage can be in Spanish, English, and Arabic, or a Portuguese, whatever the demographics look like, and it literally changed everything. So yeah, I think us being in spaces that make people uncomfortable is huge.
Thank you for that reminder, Anais, and thank you for making the road for other Latinas in the environmental space as well. That's really important, and it's a passion of mine personally, so thank you. Next question, and I'll stay with you, Anais. What advice do you have for people who want to speak out, but may feel intimidated or are not sure where to begin?
I love that. Sometimes the conversation or being in a space, you know, that they don't feel comfortable in, could just start with one question, like, you know, why or who or something like that. You know, you might get some feedback back like, oh, who are you asking these questions, you know? But you just being in a space is a start. You being, you know, having a door open, walk into the room, high and mighty, because that's where you are. And then you just sit there, you just listen, you take notes. And then next time you'll be like, oh, remember last time we spoke about this specific note? Can you elaborate a little bit more? Or I did my own research. And that starts to create comfort. A little story behind myself. I am not good at public speaking, or was not good at public speaking, but I have an amazing supervisor. She's Latina herself. She's Cuban, Cubana, and she is herself, right? But she created a space where I was comfortable enough to speak what, you know, my thoughts, to be who I am, use my hands when I speak, because that's how I talk, be animated, because she created that space of comfort. And I think once you feel like you're supported by, you know, your community for a sense, or supported by one person that's like, yeah, I think you should really advocate for that or talk about that, that makes a huge difference in, you know, what you believe in and how you feel about stuff, passion, and the way you speak. But yeah.
Thank you so much. That's amazing advice for us all. And I'll pass it to Reverend Milagro.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, what advice? I think for advocacy, for putting our voices out there, you start, it's a step, one step at a time. Anais was saying, you know, if you find an open door, just go in and do it. And, you know, the second step will be, well, what is it that I have to do? And that's important. I think that we have a lot of opportunity are offered to us for us to advocate. We go a lot here. I mean, really, we have a constant text on every issue that goes in front of our legislators here in Boston. And we're constantly being aware, and we give a lot of, you know, sign up for some of those stuff. Just start one step, whatever affects your community will affect your home, will affect your family. So therefore, we always say, take advantage, go. You know, we have buses that drive there's always an issue. Every single month we have an issue that we need to advocate for. So there's a lot of opportunity. Just take the first step. Go where you feel comfortable, and then you will start opening up to do more. It just takes the first step. I'm always, you know, first step, one person, and then we move because you don't have to wait for the whole world to go. You yourself could make that difference. So just by taking that first step, and whatever issue might be affecting your community right now, whether it's water, we had issues here, and I'm just going to take that because I know many states, forgive me, I live in a main road here. There's a lot of attention. But an issue with water, not having the best water possible, you have drinking water. And a lot of the, you know, states in the West don't have that. We have the privilege here of that we have advocated. We have a new water system. Everybody has awesome water here to drink. So but it's one step at a time. People go to City Hall, go to your mayor, go to your aldermen, go to whoever you need to go to and speak to them. Their numbers are on their website. Just send them a text, call their offices and say the things that are affecting your community, your home. Specifically, if you're Latinos and you know that there are some laws that are taking place that are affecting your community, just call. One call could make a difference. It says that one call would represent 200 of the constituents of that particular person that you're calling. So if we 5 of them, it's 1,000 people, and it'll make a difference. So I want to say that that's my advice. Just take the opportunity, move forward, and I know that we will have success, and we will have more things changing on our behalf here in the U.S.
Thank you.
totally agree. Being curious and asking questions is good. I'll pass it to Juventino.
Thank you. The advice I have for people who want to speak out but may feel intimidated or unsure where to begin is to start by acknowledging that your voice and experience matter. As Latinos, we sometimes internalize the message that our stories aren't important enough to share. I challenge that thinking. Our community's perspectives are essential to creating policies that truly work for everyone. Find your community first. When I began advocating, connecting with other undocumented students through Navigate Minnesota provided both emotional support and practical guidance. Starting in a supportive environment allows you to develop your voice before entering more challenging spaces. You have to embrace your personal story. The most powerful advocacy comes from authentic experiences, not memorizing talking points. When I share my journey of being an undocumented student to being one of the few law school graduates in the whole country, it resonates more than trying to recite statistics about Latinos. You have to start locally where the impact is more visible to you. Go to church, go to your local library, start getting comfortable going to places. Then attend neighborhood association meetings, school board sessions, or community forums where you can practice speaking in more manageable settings before engaging with state or federal policy. Remember that advocacy is a skill you develop over time. Seek mentorship from experienced advocates who share your background. They can help you navigate cultural and political complexities while providing guidance on effective approaches. Finally, you have to practice self-care. Latino advocates often carry the weight of our community's struggles alongside personal challenges. Establishing boundaries and building support system will sustain your advocacy for the long run.
Thank you for the kind reminder of taking care of ourselves first and our mental health, because burnout is real and it can happen really, really soon. And I'll stay with you, Juventino. I'd love to hear from you all strategies, tools, resources, or different platforms that you all have found helpful, that could be helpful for the audience as well in regards to advocacy.
Yeah, I think, depends on what you want to do. I am from Minnesota, and so, when I started getting involved, obviously, I got involved with Navigate Minnesota, which is now called Unidos Minnesota, and they do advocacy on immigrant rights work. They helped expand healthcare access for undocumented Minnesotans in Minnesota, driver's licenses for undocumented folks, and so on. So that's a great place if you are in Minnesota. But also, I love sharing the story of Navigate Minnesota because I think it's an example or a template of what you can do somewhere else. It started with undocumented students like myself in high school. We became or learned to become leaders. And now, almost 20 years later, it's a statewide powerhouse organization in the state of Minnesota doing policy work on both environment and immigrant rights work. So I would love for you to connect if you're trying to figure out how you go from doing student organizing to doing statewide organizing on other issues. Obviously, I'm a lawyer, so there is the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund, MALDEF, that does a lot of good work at the national level, Hispanic Access Foundation, obviously, and then Unidos US, which is, I think used to be called National Council of La Raza, I believe. And then obviously, I think, depending on what you want to do, there is a lot of times state boards or city or county boards that are often seeking representation from the Latino community. And so those are sometimes paid, most of the time are not paid. But it's really great experience if you're trying to get into advocacy work.
Thank you. I'll pass it to Anaí.
Yes, thank you. I was gonna say it depends on your area, right? On terms of where you live and the demographics on what they look like in your area. For example, we have a Hispanic American organization out of the Greater Lehigh Valley, which is where I am from, that helps support schools, that help support educational programming from Spanish classes to medical terms and what they mean in Spanish, English, Arabic, and Portuguese. And then we have the United Way of the Greater Lehigh Valley, which is a partner from my community school work. I am partnered up with the school district and United Way Greater Lehigh Valley. And they're huge on grants, they're huge on funding. And then that starts conversations with bigger entities like Just Born, which is my corporate partner, and they do all the big funding. So that means, for example, the environmental groups that I'm part of, they help fund their environmental clubs, or environmental groups like the Color of Nature was funded through Just Born, which Just Born is the Micanites and just the Peeps, those people that make those candy. They have a lot of environmental initiatives. So I think starting local is super important, right? The mayor's office is a great resource. City council is a great resource. But again, you have to, that door is open, walk in there. That's what I do. I'm in crazy conversation. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry. But yeah, I think it's those resources starting at a local level and your area is huge compared to like, I don't know, bigger ones that, you might have to take 30,000 months to open up a door for you to have a conversation with somebody.
Thank you so much for that great advice. Reverend Milagro?
Yeah, I agree with both Juventino and Anais on their ways of providing resources and getting and going to the resources. One of the things is here in the state of Massachusetts, we have a lot of coalitions that like to go out and advocate. We have one specifically in Chelsea that does a lot of work. It's called La Colaborativa, and it works with every single issue that you think of. These people are working at it. So it's getting connected with the community organization and institution. We are mentioning actually national organization for those that have stayed on in our like Christian organizations as well, or religious organizations. There are religious organizations that are constantly, we have here several of the MFI, Massachusetts Family Institute, when there's an issue to advocate and we know it's affecting our community, our Latino folk, then we are there. We join forces with the organizations that are representing the issues that we care about. So therefore, yes, I cannot disagree with all of the advice that has been given. The resources is that we got to get connected with our community. There's a lot of resources within our community. It's going out there and using them, learning, getting, I used to give workshops on how to lobby, how to advocate most of the time. And I did this with high school students. And we did it because we found out that if we train our students, to do this. We used to play games with them. So Bill, go to these events, and those resources are there. There's a lot of resources online depending on the issues. We have international institutions that will work with you locally, so that you could advocate for the issues that are affecting your community, your people, so that way we could solve a lot of the issues that are affecting us. So that's what I would say. It's starting grassroots style is the best, and then you start getting connected with larger organizations that would help you advocate at a larger platform. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing all of those amazing resources. We will be sure to follow up with a list of those tools and links that were shared during today's webinar. One resource that I want to share with you all is our Latino Advocacy Toolkit. This is a toolkit that was put together by our staff members here at Hispanic Access. And it has a lot of amazing information that can be a first step to some of you all that might not be familiar or want to refresh your skills when it comes to advocacy. And some of the areas that we touch on is Advocacy 101, local community advocacy, digital advocacy, especially in this time of age, it's really important and effective. Advocacy at different levels of government, and researching policy. And there is a QR code here that you can use in a link that will get you access to that document. And I'll be sure to follow up with the full document as well. And on behalf of Hispanic Access, I know we're getting really close to time here. I want to thank you for joining us. As we close, I want to take a moment to honor the stories, the insights, and the calls to action that we heard today. Our panelists reminded us that advocacy isn't just about raising our voices, it's about making space for others, for building power in community, and for staying rooted in our shared values. So thank you for spending this hour with us. I encourage you all to stay connected, stay engaged. And Maite, do you have any final words for our audience here as we close?
Thank you to our wonderful team. Thank you, Anna and Natalia, our translator, and Natalie. And thank you to our panelists for inspiring us. And thank you for all of you who really care about the importance of uplifting our voice together. And we're here as a resource for you. And we're looking forward to continuing to offer training, education, and opportunities to advocate. But we'd love to hear your stories and how we can support you and help you throughout the year. I believe, Ana, is the Latino Advocacy Toolkit available in Espanol?
I will have to confirm that, so I'll follow up with confirmation of that.
Creo que sí, doctora Vera. We're going to follow up with you. Muchas gracias a todos.
Thank you so much.